month, the same identical record they had the month of May, 13-14. They scored 5 runs in 3 games in Chicago. They had 16 hits. Today, Tyler Fitzgerald gets called up on an injury by Schmidt. They put Schmidt on the IL because of his wrist. And they were happy because Tyler Fitzgerald was really the key to the game today. He had 2 doubles, and the second double was 2 runs or 2 RBIs. But that was all the Giants could muster. A fan interference play in left center field with a ball that Christian Koss hit. I watched it. I even slowed it down. I thought it was the right call. I really did. I don't think that ball was out of the ballpark. And to be truthful, I thought the fan made one hell of a catch. But that had nothing to do with it. I mean, the double was there. You had the meat of the order up after him. You had Rafael Devers and Elliot Ramos, both of them, elevated fastballs, curveballs down. They both go 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts. Rafael Devers didn't even hit the ball, didn't even feel the ball, didn't even put the ball in play today. 4 strikeouts. When you look at what he's done in a Giants uniform, 13 games played. He's had 2 home runs, 8 walks. Here's the number that's frustrating to me. 21 strikeouts. 21 strikeouts in 13 games, hitting under 215. The numbers continue. We keep looking at Adames. He's 1 for 12. He got a hit today. He's 1 for 12 in the last 4 games. The last one is Jung-Hoo Lee. Jung-Hoo Lee for the month of May or for the month of June, 9 strikeouts, 14 walks. He hit a $145. He goes 0 for 4 tonight. He's 0 for 14 on this road trip. 0 for 14. These 3 guys need to get going. This is what the Giants need in this batting order. It is continuing to go spiraling south, and that's not what we want to see from the orange and black. They're now 45-40. The Arizona Diamondbacks are right behind them at 42-42, and these next 3 games mean a lot. The Giants have not hit, and they're continuing to not get runners in scoring position. And today, once again, they had a couple opportunities, and it failed. What can the Giants do? Bob Melvin got so upset at the call by Elliot Ramos on a 3rd strike. He gets thrown out to lead off the top of the 9th inning. You can see the frustration building when you look in that dugout. You can see the faces. There's no excitement. There's nothing. It's dead. All these players are just hanging on the rail. There's nobody really fired up to get this team going. What can the Giants do? I don't know. We're watching the game. We're trying to analyze the game, and not on the offensive side. There's nothing to analyze. A couple hits here, a couple hits there. They had nothing going against Ryan Nelson. He ended up going 6 2/3 innings, 7 strikeouts. He threw mostly fastballs. Out of the 88 pitches, 62 fastballs. He got it up to 98 miles an hour, average around 96, but he was elevating the fastball. That's how he got most of his strikeouts. And then he threw the little curveball or the slider that went down and away, and it was too much to adjust, and the hitters just could not catch up to it. They finally got to him in the 7th inning with a double by Dominic Smith and a base hit by Willie Adames. And Jung-Hoo Lee once again flies out to center field, and Tyler Fitzgerald picks him up with a double. That was it. That was really all the scoring the Giants could do. On the other side, Logan Webb, I thought he pitched pretty well today. When you look at what they did to him, 7 hits they got off him, and 4 were bloop hits. Now, I was a sinker ball slider pitcher just like Logan Webb, more movement just like he does, and that's what usually happens. You inside out a pitch, it flows the other way. That's what, when you look at what Thomas did today, the 3 bloop hits he hit, you could have thrown him harder than what he hit him. The double down the line in the 3rd inning was really the first run he gave up. A little bloop hit that went right over Koss at 3rd, and Ramos bare hands it and throws it into 2nd. The ball wasn't even hit hard. In the 5th inning, he leads off the inning with another bloop hit over the shortstop's head. And he finishes out in the 7th inning after Webb gets Tawa. He gets another bloop hit, 3 bloop hits by Thomas, and all they did was put the ball in play. He ends up punching out 7. He had 2 with changeups, 2 with sinkers, 3 with sweepers, 1 walk, the home run by Uriel, was a slider that he missed. It came across on the inside part of the plate. He didn't miss that. And then Tyler Rogers came in, and Suarez is just killing the ball for him. He has 26 home runs already and 69 RBIs. So these guys are still hitting. You look at what the Diamondbacks do. The Diamondbacks are a hitting team, especially in Arizona. You look at what they do. They're a 255 team batting average, 148 doubles, 121 home runs compared to 79 for the Giants. The home run ball definitely helps them in Arizona. But tonight, the Giants once again were stymied at the plate. They could not get any run support for Logan Webb, and he takes the loss. 415-808 KNBR. Let's talk about this game. Let's talk a little bit about what the Giants are doing offensively, because they're struggling. We'll take a quick break on Sports Phone KNBR. Come back with your calls. My name's Bill Lasky. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
Giants fans, this is your hub to have your voice heard. Sports Phone KNBR. Streaming live on YouTube at KNBR 1045.
Oh, they're calling the batter out? No way. Come on. Adrian Johnson is calling Koss out. Tim Tawa was not in a position to catch that ball. They're going to review it back in New York, I guess. They're calling him out, though, on the field. Can we hear?
Call on the field is fan interference with an out. San Francisco is challenging that call.
Oh, my goodness.
Back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Monday. The fan interference, they did go to replay on it, and as they slowed it down, both gloves never touched each other. You just didn't know if that ball went out or if it had hit the wall. The best thing that could have happened with it was what they did. They got a double. If that glove would have touched, it would have been an out. And that dugout would have been going crazy. It would have been throwing everybody out of the Giants dugout. You just couldn't tell if it was going to be over or not. That was the biggest question I had watching it. But we'll find out. I got a lot of callers on hold here and see what you guys have to say about it. In the end, I thought it was a good call because then you had Devers and Ramos coming up behind him, and you would have thought one of them would even have put a ball in play. But tonight, those guys just couldn't touch the ball. 0 for 8, 7 strikeouts. Add Jung-Hoo Lee in there with an 0 for 4, and you got 0 for 12 with 3 of your top hitters with 7 strikeouts. When you look at runners in scoring position, once again, we've been looking at this game after game. They were 2 for 7 tonight, and tonight was the last day of June. And they finished last out of 30 teams for the month of June, hitting 197 as a team with runners in scoring position. So you look at a 13 and 14 record, and that's mainly where you're not getting any run support. The pitchers have been doing very well. They've been dominating lately. The run support for Logan Webb, we've known this all year long. It's happened in his whole career. He never gets a lead. He had a 2-2 spot after 6, top of the 7th when the Giants scored 2, and he ended up giving up a couple base hits, bloop hits, and I'm going to continue to say that. Sure, he gave up a home run, but most of the hits he gave up today, 4 of them out of the 7, were just make contact and put him in play. Tomorrow, they always say it looks like a line drive in your scorebook, and in my mind, they were bloop hits, and I'm sure you all think that same. All right, let's go to Adam. He's in Oakland. Adam, you're on Sports Phone KNBR on Monday night with Bill Lasky. Tell me what you think of the game tonight.
Well, tonight's game, wow, it's just, Devers is struggling. It reminds me of when Matt Williams sent him home on that play. It looked like he could have torn his groin and his hamstring on that play, and he would have been out for the year and probably next year. So we have a player that cost us $270 million, and he's injured. It's almost like we need a receipt to send him back because we got ripped off. We got bamboozled.
Well, he's struggling, no question. When you're looking at him, this road trip's telling you that right there, Adam. The road trip itself, when you're looking at 1 for 15 on a road trip, and the last two games, he isn't striking out. He's not even putting the ball in play, and that's not Rafael Devers, who we watched for 8-9 years when he pitched with the Red Sox, because he hit very well with the Red Sox. And in the beginning of the year, they talked about it. Dwayne Kuiper talked about it with him striking out a lot in the first couple weeks with Boston because of all the controversy he had. But this guy can hit. I'll tell you that. He's one of the top 10 hitters in baseball. What is going on with him now? I don't know. He's swinging so hard all the time.
It's his groin. If your groin is strained and you're going to rip it, you can't your body can't extend and then recoil. So his greatest strength is at his before when he was on Boston and he was slim and he was hitting incredible and everyone said, "Oh God, I wish I had that guy." His strength was his flexibility.
Yeah, but Adam,
now
if his groin's in trouble, if his groin is that bad, they wouldn't let him play. I mean, he's going in there. They're watching it. They're seeing what he's got. It's maybe a mild strain. I don't think that affects his hitting at all. I just think he's swinging so damn hard. He has to cut his swing down a little bit and be productive with the bat. Get on base. This is what they need him to do. And today with a runner on second base, the swing path in the 8th inning, it was high fastballs and then a low off-speed pitch, and he swung and missed. In Chicago, it was all off-speed pitches that he was missing. Today, you had Ryan Nelson bringing some 98 gas to him, and elevated fastballs got him and Ramos a few times.
It's so true. I mean, when he gets exposed to that high fastball, it's only one thing we can say: Buster Posey should not be the president of baseball operations. He should be fired.
Come on now, Adam. I'm not going to go there. Adam, I'm not going there, buddy. I'm sorry. Let's go to Steve in Bend, Oregon. Steve, you're on with Bill Lasky on Sports Phone KNBR on a Monday night. Tough call, tough loss, and the June swoon is over. They lost 6 out of their last 7.
Fitzgerald, man, the guy came through. He had to do what he had to do. Went down to AAA and came up with a ringing double and knocked in a couple of runs. So good for him. Good for him.
Yeah,
Devers,
he had a nice double. He had also a nice double in that 5th inning where he fought off a lot of pitches and he caught a little curveball in the inside corner, hit it down the third base line. I'm a Tyler Fitzgerald fan. I've always been. I've covered him all the way from AA. Let's hope that this continues, as this is the guy that we expected to come up and make these key hits.
Devers, on the other hand, he wasn't making contact. It's like he's trying to hit the 5-run home run, Bill. I can't understand it. Just make contact. Use your strength against a fastball that was coming your way and just go the other way with it. So him and Lee, 7 for 68. And meanwhile, the Diamondbacks are hitting these bloopers and dunks and dying quails and getting what needs to be done. They know their field and they know their pitching.
We always talk about making contact, right? We always say, hey, if you just make contact, things could change. That's all they did. That's all Thomas did. He's not a power hitter. He hit 280, 285, and all he does is go up there and put the ball in play. And what he did, he took an inside fastball and hit it out to left field, inside out of it. The sinker away, all he did was pepper it out to left center field. Those kind of hitters I struggled with because you were getting mad as hell, and I guarantee Logan Webb was ready to holler at him, swing the bat like a man, because we'd always holler at him, because the bloop hit would bug you more than a line drive.
Yeah. What are your thoughts, Bill? All right, Costas bid for a home run. The road team gets a big fat glove and takes it away. Okay, it would have been a double. It was fan interference, but what do you think about changing the rules so if the road team interferes with a potential home run, why don't you just call it a home run and let the guy run it out? Because otherwise, all the fans could interfere with something that's close to being a home run. What do you think?
Well, especially in Arizona, how that wall is, and you got people sitting right behind it. Like I said in my introduction, it was a great catch by the guy, but at the same time, he did interfere with a baseball in play. And maybe there's something that they can do with a fan doing that, because maybe you do warrant, if a fan does it, instead of just warrant it as double. Who knows if it bounces off the wall and he gets a triple on it. Yeah. Koss looks like he hurt himself coming out of the box. He was limping. We don't know the damage yet. It could be a cramp or whatever, but let's hope. He's the hottest hitter the Giants have right now. He's been consistent. He had 6 hits out of the 16 hits the Giants had in that 3-game series with the White Sox. That ball was hit real well. That was a great, great try on the left fielder. He made a hell of a try.
Yeah, he did. All right, Bill, I hate to put you on the spot here, but give me your ideas on Adames as a fielder or maybe as an overall pick for the Giants. I'm going to give his grade as a fielder as maybe a C+, B-. Maybe
I'm going to go a little higher than I think he's a solid B as a defender. He's got a cannon for an arm. He plays well up the middle. I do, and I've been watching a lot of his plays. On the offensive side, I'm struggling because I went back. I did my weekend shows, and on Saturday I went and looked at some film on him when he was with the Brewers, and his swing path is different now than what it was. And I'm looking at this, and if I'm watching this now, why isn't somebody watching it where he hit like that in Milwaukee? Because his swing path is so high all the time. He misses the slider. Today he had a line drive to right field, but it was a fastball. He got a base hit. But the breaking ball, it's just like his back shoulder comes down and he swings high in it. It frustrates me because he is a good contact hitter. We just haven't seen it yet in an orange-black uniform.
He tends to windmill it when the breaking ball comes in and wants to launch it. Anyway, let's see what happens tomorrow, Bill. Great show. Thanks again.
Yeah,
man.
Steve, I appreciate the call, and you know what? I'm right there with you. I'm hoping that Fitzgerald, with just a little time in AAA, wakes him up a little bit, more a little conscious on that bats. This is a guy they need in this lineup, and he's got the power to do it. But thanks, Steve, for your call. Tomorrow, let's talk about that before I get to some more calls here. Hayden Birdsong takes the hill for the San Francisco Giants. First pitch right here at 6:40. He's 3-2 with a 4.1 earned run average. His numbers in his last 3 starts are not pretty, Giants fans. In Colorado, he went 6 innings, 6 hits, 3 earned runs. Against Boston, he went 4 1/3, 7 hits, 4 earned runs. And against Miami was the worst outing he had. He went 4 innings, 4 hits, 7 earned runs. And if you look at the month of June, not good numbers for Hayden Birdsong's 24 innings pitched, 24 hits, 17 earned runs, a 6.3 earned run average for him for the month of June. Now, the good side on that, though, is Zach Gallen's pitching for the D-backs. He's 5-9 with a 5.75 earned run average. He has just been getting whipped every outing. He pitched against the White Sox his last outing, 5 1/3 innings, 8 hits, 5 earned runs. He threw against Colorado, 5 innings, 10 hits, 7 earned runs. Threw against San Diego, 6 1/3, 6 hits, 4 earned runs. He's given up 19 home runs already this year, 62 earned runs in 97 innings. This is a guy the Giants have had trouble with in years past. This is a time where Zach Gallen's going to have to bear down, but this is a time where the Giants may get to him. 42 walks already this year in 97 innings. So a matchup of 2 pitchers that have been struggling, and that's first time that we're going to see that in this series. This series is pretty good after that. Landon Roop against Merrill Kelly. Both of them have been pitching good. Robbie Ray against Brandon Pfaadt. So tomorrow we're going to find out who pitches better with Hayden Birdsong and Zach Gallen. Both of those 2 pitchers have been struggling in their last few outings. All right, let's go back to the phone lines. Let's go to Vallejo and talk to Mike. Mike, you're on a Monday Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky. You know, let's just talk a little bit, Mike. What did you see in the game? Was there any difference that you saw that you maybe said maybe this is getting better since they lost 2 out of 3 to the White Sox?
Hey, Bill, thanks for taking the call. You're fantastic. You know, I didn't see, I got to say that just frustration, as everyone sees, with Devers and Ramos, and with Lee, right? Not coming through at all. And it was weird. I wanted to bring up the fan interference. It didn't seem like they showed him getting kicked out or anything.
Yeah, they did. They showed it later where they escorted him out. But, you know, it was just,
did? Okay.
Why are you even coming over the fence to try to make a play like that? Let the game play itself. That's my biggest opinion on that.
That's what was so horrible, and I think it really changed a lot of the energy. And it was just frustrating to see a fan interfering with what happened. And all the offensive frustrations, obviously. But a question I have for you, with you know, changing up the lineup and trying to find a fit, I was just wondering if too much of that throws off.
It could, but again, this lineup has been changing rapidly. Bob Melvin and his staff are trying to get something going with some of these hitters, especially when you're getting runners in scoring position, but they're going to have to put Jung-Hoo Lee out of the 6th spot. They have to put him lower, maybe in the 7th, 8th, or 9th. Again, maybe he sits out and maybe Daniel Johnson gets some more time in the outfield. Good defender, not much of a hitter. Yaz didn't play tonight. They gave him a day off. We'll see some more because it's all right-handed pitchers for the D-backs in this 4-game series. But something's got to happen. I've been talking about Jung-Hoo Lee here for a week now, and it's all pop-ups. It's all fly balls. He doesn't hit a ball down.
Absolutely. But I want to say this real quick, that on a positive note, they set their expectations higher than what I saw before the season started. And all this frustration is because they have the ability to do something better than I think what I had expected. So
yeah,
I'm
you're absolutely
I'm
right,
happy
Mike. I
with
kind of
these frustrations.
Yeah, I kind of threw that out on my weekend shows on Extra Innings. I was like, are we expecting better? Are our expectations the way they started the season? Is this something that we thought this team was going to continue to do? Because when you're looking at 13 and 14 for the month of May, 13 and 14 for the month of June, and you lose your last 6 out of 7 games against the Marlins, the White Sox, and a first game against the Diamondbacks, is this the team that's really the ones that the true analysts said? This was the Giants when they began the year. They were talking about a 3rd or 4th place team. I felt, fans felt, the way they started and the way they played, it was a number 1 or 2 or 3 team. Can they rebound? The only way they're going to rebound, Mike, is if they hit. And right now we haven't seen anybody do anything different. It's getting worse than better. But thanks for the call, Mike. I appreciate your time. We're going to take a quick break on Sports Phone KNBR. We've got a few callers on hold, 415-808-KNBR. Ben Ross from KRON Channel 4 Sports is going to join me later on in the show to see what he thought about the game and what he can tell us about fan interference. He was putting some things up on X tonight. All right, my name's Bill Lasky. We'll be right back on the Sports Leader.
he can't get it off of his glove. Rolls to the warning track. Smith scores. Adames right behind him. And Hill scores standing. Tyler Fitzgerald, welcome back. A huge hit here in the 7th, the one the Giants have been waiting for. A 2-out, 2-run double, and it ties the game at 2.
All right, back on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on a Monday night. Giants lose today. They're now 1-3 on this 10-day road trip, where they have 3 more games in Arizona, 3 against Sacramento Athletics for the July 4th weekend. When you're looking at the 4 games played, 7 runs only for the Giants, 23 hits only for the Giants, and no home runs. So the offense is struggling, and they continue to struggle as their batting average now as a team is under 230. And you're talking about probably 24th, 25th out of 30 teams. The struggles are happening. Another 10 strikeouts tonight. They have over 700 strikeouts. So it's continuing to happen. We're continuing to talk about runners in scoring position. We're looking at Rafael Devers as the savior, and it just hasn't done anything here. I talked about this earlier, 13 games played. He's got 2 home runs, 21 strikeouts, hitting under 215. He's played in every game, so maybe he maybe needs a day off. You know he does not want to. He's a guy that wants to play every day. We had a conversation yesterday. Maybe he needs to play in the field. Maybe he just gets his head off the hitting because he's just a designated hitter. Maybe his thoughts are just every at bat. So many different things going through his head. Don't forget he had a real tough time in Boston this past year. A lot of frustration about playing third base, first base, a lot of dissension. Maybe just the head isn't square yet. Maybe this is something that he's going to have to work on. The swing path today was brutal. 4 strikeouts, all swinging, sliders, curveballs, elevated fastballs. There was no change in his swing path. Elliot Ramos had a tough game too. He punched out 3 times. The last one was a little outside, but he should have been covering it. It was 2-strike hole that he was in. They go 0 for 8 with 7 strikeouts. Jung-Hoo Lee, who I'm continuing to keep talking about, hitting a $140 for the whole month of June, and he's continuing to hit fly balls, 3 fly balls today. These 3 hitters need to produce. These 3 hitters the Giants need in this order. Key hitters, key members of this team, somehow, some way. They got to work out of this because this is getting worse, not better. All right, let's go to Don in San Francisco. Don, you're on the Sports Phone KNBR Monday night edition with Bill Lasky. How are you doing?
I'm doing fine. I'm just curious about letting that guy get that interference, you know what I'm talking about, in the outfield.
Yeah, what'd you think of it first, Don? Did you think that both gloves hit each other? Because initially they called him out because it would have been fan interference, which would have interfered with the catch.
This is what it's very confusing, you know. I don't know if it was very close, you know, if he touched that glove or not, you know. It was very close.
Well, that's what replay showed. That's why they gave him a double. But the other question is, what happens with the guy Tawa, who's going after the ball? What happens when he leaps and he misses the ball? Ball carries off the wall. Maybe he gets a triple on it. You know, that's the other question I look at here.
This is what my question is too, because I don't get it, man. Because like, it's just like I don't know. It's just I don't know what the heck happened. You think that guy got infected, did he?
Well, Don, you know that a couple key hits today by Fitzgerald. We saw a little bit better at bats with him, which was good. He was sent down to AAA. I think it was like 7 for 23 or something, but he did get a couple good swings on some fastballs today. His biggest problem is the slider. Hopefully he can maybe change a little bit in his swing path, cut it down, and get on base because they definitely need some spark in this lineup.
Was that guy kicked out for fan interference? He was kicked out.
Yeah, they kicked him out. They did. Yeah, they escorted him out, which they should have. Yeah, they showed a couple different clips. He does this a lot. He sits out there all the time, and he reaches over, and they've said that he's done it a few times. Again, it was, fans need to just watch the game. Quit trying to interfere with balls coming at you. If you're going to sit in that position where they sit, there should be something in front of them saying you can't do that. You cannot do that for a game, because it really did reflect a lot of momentum on the game at that time.
Absolutely. I want to ask him some more comments. It's just like going back to the same old deja vu again. My God, Bill, I don't know what to say now, you know.
Well, you know, the only thing you can do, Don, is just continue to keep watching. Hopefully this turns around. We keep saying hope, but it's got to be facts. We got to see some factual evidence of some changes, and hopefully that'll happen, Don. But thanks for the call on a late night, Don, on a Monday night. Appreciate your time. Let's go to Mike in San Francisco. Mike, you're on with Bill Lasky on Sports Phone KNBR. What did you think of the game today? Was there anything that had any kind of change in the momentum of this team?
Mr. Lasky, always a pleasure, sir. I'm also, first off, let me just be a little bit candid here. These comments, everybody has a right to their opinions and stuff, but Buster Posey has done beyond a phenomenal job, in my opinion.
Thank you.
And
I
mean,
if people, you know, I this real quick, people want to come on here and rip on Buster, I will not take it.
Yeah.
Happened over the weekend. I'm not going to listen to it.
Yeah, they need to have their heads checked, and that's all. That's all I have to say about that. But
I agree. Thank you.
I mean, as you can tell, I'm a diehard Giants fan. But anyway, I'm not concerned, Bill, so to speak. I'm actually kind of befuddled as to what's going on. And that the record that you brought up, I had no idea that they had the exact same records, 13 and 14 in the last 2 months.
Yeah. And they didn't until they lost 6 out of 7, you know, and that's the thing. You know, I do my weekend shows, Mike. I've talked to you on there before. When they beat the Red Sox, I'm like, here we go. You had won last 2 against the Red Sox. It was a great game on Sunday, 3 home runs. I'm excited just like all the Giants fans were. And then they go into Miami and you get pounced. You got pounced. There wasn't even a close game.
Bill, and I'm still having nightmares about losing to the White Sox 1-0. That was kind of a gut punch. But I don't. There's no answer to what's going on, of course. But you know, it hopefully the bats will. You know, I know the bats will come around.
Always hear, Mike, you always hear one game, one at bat, well, you know, something's going to change.
Yeah.
I don't see that because there's too many guys there. If it was 3 or 4 guys that were really hitting the ball well and you had a good, consistent middle of the order hitting and maybe the bottom of the order was scuffling or maybe the leadoff hitter, but it's the whole team. It's the whole 1 through 9. There isn't one guy. Sure, you look at Christian Koss. He got hot, no question. He had 6 hits, and the White Sox had a nice ball hit today. But he's kind of a utility player. I'm looking at the frontline players. The frontline players are not making adjustments, and the frontline players are falling worse than getting better.
Yes. Sir, just one last comment. I'll take it's just for picking your fabulous baseball mind. Do you think? I mean, everybody's pretty much slumping. Do you think it's just going down the lineup? I mean, is there no? I just don't know. But anyway,
just stay here 1 second, Mike. Stay here 1 second. When you're watching this team swing and you're swinging and they're missing, I mean, strikeouts, strikeouts, 10 strikeouts today, 10 of them. That's what's baffling me. Put the ball in play. Cut your swing down and make contact. Look what the Diamondbacks did today and all the blue pits they had.
Correct me if I'm wrong, but did you say 700 strikeouts or something?
Yeah, that's 700 strikeouts on the year.
Oh, my God.
Yeah, I got it right here.
Well,
had 692
Bill,
coming into this game. 692 coming in this game, 297 walks, and you had 10 punch-outs. You look on the Arizona side, they have 292 walks, but only 633 strikeouts. There's a few teams that have over 700 strikeouts, but 700 strikeouts is a lot. when you're looking at 85 games.
Yeah. Well, Bill, it's always I'll be, of course I will be talking to you soon. Always a pleasure, sir, and love your show, and I will keep listening. Thank you.
Thanks, Mike. Thanks. I appreciate the call tonight. Let's go to Joshua. He's in Orlando, Florida. Joshua, you're on the late night sports phone, KNBR. How are you?
Good, Bill. Good to talk to you again. I just want to say I'm looking at everything what the fans are saying. Fire Pat Burrell. Fire Bob Mills.
Come on. I'm not going to, Joshua, stop with the firing stuff. Let's talk about the players. Let's talk about what these guys are doing.
The players could turn it around.
How are they going to turn it? What is one coach going to change? Tell me.
The coaches are just there to help the guys. And
yeah, they are helping them.
Come collectively.
They're preparing them, Joshua. They prepare them extensively. It's the people in the batter's box that need to be accounted about.
July 1st, they can turn it all around, turn the page. It starts tomorrow.
Okay. That's tomorrow. I'm ready.
Yeah.
I'm ready to get out of June with this batting slump they're in.
Yeah, that's all I can say for this call. Thank you for taking my call, and have a good night.
Thanks, Joshua. I appreciate it. And, it's I've said this for the last week. It's not the coach's fault. Sure, they fire head coaches, they fire managers, they fire hitting coaches, they fire pitching coaches. But when it comes down to it, as an ex-player, as I was, and an ex-pitcher in the big leagues, and I've watched coaches get fired, I've watched managers get fired, it comes down to the players, people. It comes down to the people that are on the field competing. It's about those each player, each pitcher. They go in that clubhouse and they try to fire each other up. They're not happy because they're losing. Come on, the excitement isn't in this locker room with their music blasting when they lose. They've lost 6 out of 7 games to 2 teams that were in the basement. The Diamondbacks lost. They won. Let's see. The Giants lost 5 out of 6 games to the Marlins and the White Sox. Arizona lost 4 out of 6 games to the Marlins and the White Sox. So you're looking at another team that's been frail, and today the blue hits hurt them, a couple home runs. But when it comes down to what's happening here, the Giants have to get better in hitting. They have to. The strikeouts got to disappear. Put the ball in play. Simple things, simple minds got to change it. And let's hope tomorrow they do that, because this road trip, a 10-day road trip, it can get worse or it can be better. 1 win, 1 game, you never know what might happen. But let's hope tomorrow. And I say hope, and all the people always say hope is one thing, but doing it is another, and they're absolutely right. So let's see if they can do something and start tomorrow, 6:40, first pitch right here, Hayden Birdsong against Zach Gallen. All right, coming up next, I'm going to talk to Ben Ross. Of course, you see him on KRON, Channel 4 Sports. We'll get his insight on the game and see what he thinks moving forward. That's coming up next right here on Sports Phone KNBR with Bill Lasky on the Sports Leader. Diamondbacks 4 runs, 8 hits, no errors. The Giants 2 runs, 7 hits, 1 error. Before the game, Casey Schmidt was put on the IL for 10 days. Tyler Fitzgerald was called up from AAA, had a great game. He went 2 for 3 with 2 doubles and 2 RBIs. And yesterday, Austin Barnes was picked up. He was released by the Los Angeles Dodgers. He's now in Arizona working out at Papago, and we will probably see him as a backup catcher in weeks to come. All right, my guest today, you can see him on Cron 4 Sports. Let's bring in my good friend Ben Ross. Ben, how are you tonight?
How you doing? Well, Bill, how are you?
Well, it could have been better. I mean, this June swoon is over. Let's hope it stops tonight. They finished 13 and 14 for the month of June. And Ben, they did the same thing in May, 13 and 14, after they had a stellar April when they were 16 and 11. What are your thoughts when you see them losing 3 to Miami, 2 out of 3 to the White Sox? Those are very disappointing losses.
Yeah, I mean, this is clearly, I think, the most disappointing stretch of the season. You know, you looked at these games as a chance to move up in the standings. I mean, look, when you're a playoff contender, you've got to take care of the bad teams. Now, I'll give the Marlins credit because they're all of a sudden on a winning streak, but still, you know, you got to win some games against them and the White Sox, and as we get close to the All-Star break here. But yeah, I don't know. Maybe changing the calendar to July will help, but you know, it's the same issues, obviously, which we've talked about over and over again. It's just right now they're really struggling to produce runs.
7 runs, 23 hits in 4 games on this road trip, and it's just getting dismal. Tyler Fitzgerald comes back. He was the light of the lineup today. You had Dominic Smith getting a couple hits, but Tyler Fitzgerald hit the ball well. Maybe the little stint in AAA kind of woke him up, but his swing path was a little better tonight than what we saw in the past.
Yeah, I mean, I think right now if you're the Giants, you're looking for any positives, and that's definitely one of them. Look, we saw what Fitzgerald was capable of last year, and, you know, he's the kind of guy who can be a spark plug just because of his speed. Hopefully, like you said, the quick AAA stint maybe woke him up, and he's going to get going again. But, you know, I think right now, up and down the lineup, it's just kind of contagious. I mean, you're seeing you're not seeing really good at bats. I guess there were a few hard hit balls tonight that were just sort of unlucky and at people, but you know they're just collectively they need to be having better at bats right now.
Well, the one guy, Rafael Devers, is struggling. I mean, 4 strikeouts today on the road trip. This road trip, 4 games, 1 for 15. The bats are just going up there. He's not adjusting. In Chicago, they threw him nothing but changeups. Today, you know, when you're looking at Ryan Nelson, they started off with fastballs away, and then they elevated the fastball. They punched him out a couple times, and then they threw the breaking ball, and he swung right over it. Do you think he's trying too hard? Do you think the expectations are getting in his head?
I mean, I think maybe there's an element of that he's pressing. You're right. Look, it was concerning. I was concerned just to see him swinging through those high fastballs today. It felt like he was late. And, I mean, I think part of it is, you know, he's a power hitter, and he's a guy who's always had some swing and miss in his game. And, you know, I'm not too concerned about him long term, but I did tweet out, you mentioned the 1 for 15. His last 13 at-bats, he struck out 11 times. So, I mean, that is pretty tough. But, again, he's the kind of guy who, you know, when it comes to expectations, I think he wants to make a good impression in San Francisco. But let's be real. Look, he played in a tough market as far as media and fan criticism in Boston, and he did just fine. I think long-term he's going to be okay. Unfortunately, right now, you know, this is like when the Giants need him. He's the kind of guy who they brought in, who they hoped would spark the offense, and unfortunately, he's been a part of the problem recently.
Well, Ben, after Koss hit that ball to left center field, a fan interference type thing, you talked about it a little bit on X. You saw a little bit of the replay. What happens in this? If you were the commissioner of baseball, what would you do in a scenario like this?
Yeah, I mean, I think because these videos are coming out that this same fan has been, you know, has done this multiple times now. I think that at a certain point you do have to maybe take action. I mean, obviously he was ejected from the stadium tonight, and look, I mean that's the kind of play that goes against you when you're struggling. And I thought the Giants. I mean, look, maybe I'm looking at it with biased eyes, but I thought that ball would have hit the top of the wall and gone out. I think that probably should have been a home run. It was close. I understand why maybe they thought that wasn't definitive, but yeah, I mean, when you got the same fan involved in like 3 or 4 of those types of plays, I think that you got to maybe not ban him for life, but at least for the rest of the season or some sort of punishment. I mean, you can't allow that to keep happening.
Well, Ben, Tim Tawa, the left fielder, made a great play. I mean, leaping for it, full extension. And if it didn't go out, who knows? Because Koss he came out of the box limping. Who knows if he would have tried to go for 3? But that's a play that could have been a triple if it bounces off the wall and gets by him. And who knows if it hits the yellow mark and bounces over. It was so close to so many different things that could have happened. And how about the original call? They called him out. They said fan interference. I was like, what? And then, you know, Hunter and Dwayne were talking about it, and I understand that. But once the replay came up and you saw nobody touch gloves, I still was amazed at the call.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty clearly going to be overturned. I think everyone, even live, you kind of saw there was no interference with the glove or anything. I just thought, you know, to me, in those types of plays, when the ball ends up in the seats, I think you need to have, the way I look at it, you should need to have clear evidence that it was not a home run. So to me, when you review that play, it ends up in the stands. If it's not defensive or if it's not fan interference, I think it's a home run unless you have conclusive evidence that it would not have gone over the wall. And again, looking at that replay, to me, I think it's pretty clear it probably would have hit the top of the wall and gone out. So I think that's the type of play that should be a home run. But, yeah, I mean, look, give Bob Melvin credit for at least getting ejected at the end of that inning, because that was also an awful call on the strike 3 to Ramos to end the inning. So
I saw where you posted that. I saw how it was posted. You put that on X. That ball was almost out of the zone, almost a full ball. Was that what you saw?
Yeah, I mean, look, it's not the most egregious call you're ever going to see, but I thought it was a good 3 inches off the outside of the plate. And again, a guy like Ramos knows the zone so well. Credit to him keeping his composure, because that's a huge spot in the game, obviously, tying run at second base. And
well, the first pitch they called was a ball, too, if you remember that, Ben, that bat. The first pitch was on the outside corner for a ball, and they called it. And his neck, sprung right back to the umpire. And I thought Bob Melvin should have been thrown out as soon as he called strike 3. He waited a little longer than I would expect it for Bob. And then he got out, when the top of the ninth came around. Maybe he wanted to fire up the troops by doing it. It's so you can start seeing the pressure. You can start seeing the stress. You can start, as I said, there was no excitement in the dugout. Everybody was hanging over the rail, eating sunflower seeds. Nobody was picking each other up. To me, that's depressing. To me, that's a negative. To me, somebody's got to get this team fired up.
Yeah, I'm with you. And I mean, I think we've seen the front office try. I mean, right, we've seen a couple of roster shakeups. Obviously, the Devers trade was huge, but even before that, you saw them go out and bring in a guy like Dominic Smith and make just a couple of changes. I just don't know if there's a whole lot more from a personnel standpoint they can do unless they want to go back to the trade market and bring in another bat. I think at the end of the day, you're counting on the guys that you signed to the contracts. Willie Adames, Jung-Hoo Lee, you need them to start hitting. Lee obviously was early in the year, but he's really been struggling. And then, we talked about it last time too. I think Matt Chapman, that will give them a boost whenever he's able to get back. But, it sounds like that still might be another week. So, yeah, you're right. I mean, I would love to see, I don't know if you want to go with the cliche players only meeting or what, but you need something to shake them out of this right now.
Yeah, they said Bob Melvin had a meeting today, probably just to air it out a little bit, forget about Chicago. This is a National League West team we're playing. This is something they're right behind us. They struggle too. They only won 4 out of 6 games, or they only won 2 games out of the 6 against the White Sox and the Marlins. So they were struggling on it, just like the Giants were. A lot of bloop hits off Logan Webb today. I mean, you could see the frustration out of him, Ben.
Yeah.
And it got to him a little bit. You could see he was getting steamed about a couple of those balls.
Oh, 100%. Well, and then you could see the frustration too after he gave up the home run that made it 2-0.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and what else can you say about Logan Webb? I mean, he's going to give you a chance to win just about every game that he's pitching, and I thought he did a great job. I will say, you know, watching it live, I thought Melvin left him in one batter too long, and I know that might be easy to say in hindsight, but you know, I have no problem with him going out there for the 7th inning. But after the back-to-back hits, you've got runners on first and third with 1 out. I think Webb was at 99 pitches at that point. You go into the top of the order again. I feel like that was the moment you go and get a Randy Rodriguez. You know, a strikeout pitcher when you've got that runner on third, less than 2 outs. I thought maybe they left him in one batter too long. But again, it's not like it was a really hard hit ball, like you said. That was another bloop. And sometimes, you know, the breaks just don't go your way, and it feels like they're all going against the Giants right now.
Ben Ross from Cron 4 Sports joins me on Sports Phone KNBR for a few more minutes. Going back to exactly what you're talking about, what about the 10-pitch at bat Perdomo did in the 5th inning? And you talk about him coming up back in the 7th inning. That was another thought I had, too. This is a tough out.
Right.
10 pitches. He fouled off a lot of great pitches. And then Marte followed him up with a 7-pitch at bat. That jumped really because he had 60 pitches in the 4th. It jumped up to 81 after 5. And those were battles, man. He was throwing everything he threw at him, and they were fouling off stuff. Those are probably the 2 top hitters in that lineup. That's why they're hitting 1 and 2. But Suarez is the guy that's pounding the ball. I mean, he's number 26 on home run rate today.
Yep.
And this lineup isn't all that deep, but they do put the ball in play.
Yeah, no, I mean, those were great at-bats, and like you said, they drive the pitch count up, but they also, you know, every additional pitch you see, I think you can probably speak to this better than me, but, you know, the more pitches you see from a guy, the better you're going to see it coming out of his hand, and, you know, you get a chance to see everything he throws. I think that may be another reason why I would have taken Webb out before we let him face Perdomo for a 4th time. But again, you know, those are the decisions that are, you can blame a decision for leaving. I did the same thing. I blamed Torey Lovullo for taking out his starter too soon. I thought he should have left Ryan Nelson in for another batter, but you know, that's why
I was surprised too. Yeah, I was surprised.
No,
he only had 88 pitches, but you know, his last few starts, he's only going 5. Yeah, Nelson's only going 5, 5 2/3. He pushed him.
Exactly. I think 88 might have actually, or 88. I think that might have even been his season high. So I think from that standpoint, it makes some sense.
You know what you say, going back to Randy Rodriguez and Tyler Rogers. Tyler Rogers just spun that slider, never got out. It stayed inside for the home run that he gave up. He's just been so stellar. When you're looking at just one run, he's still got a 1.7 earned run average. Randy Rodriguez, a 0.74 earned run average. The White Sox game with Walker and Miller, those two just baffled me that game when they just couldn't get anything going. And Ryan Walker has just been struggling coming out of the bullpen lately.
You know, it's such a weird thing with relievers. You'll see it like year to year, how Ryan Walker was almost unhittable last year, and like you said, he's been struggling this season. Again, I still have a lot of confidence in this Giants bullpen overall. I think they've got a lot of really good arms, and clearly that's been one of the strengths of the team. You know, I think part of the issue with them not scoring runs this year is that there's just every game is high leverage in those late innings. You know, they've got so many. It's not that they're overworked, but every pitch and every inning is a stressful one. They're playing so many 1- and 2-run games.
And you know, when they make a mistake, it's magnified so big. I mean, Wisely getting picked off. It's magnified like he lost the game for him. Sure, he did make a blunder, but it wasn't just that play. Everything gets magnified when you lose this many games, especially when you're losing the teams in the bottom of in their divisions, and that's the struggles that you and I have to do in analyzing games and talking about it by saying, why did this happen? Why did this happen? Well, if they would have got a hit here, it would have opened the game up, but they're not doing that. And that's the struggle that we continue to keep talking about and trying to mount an attack about. Is it going to get better tomorrow? Zach Gallen's on the hill. He's given up 19 home runs. Sure, it's there on paper, but they got to adjust and go after him tomorrow.
I was thinking just that. I feel like something's got to give tomorrow because, I've tweeted multiple times this year about what is going on with Zach Gallen. And, he's getting lit up by not just by anybody, but by some bad teams. By everybody, yeah. So, tomorrow I am fascinated because, you've got a pitcher who right now can't get anybody out, and you've got an offense in the Giants that really can't produce a whole lot. So, again, something's got to give. It'll be fascinating to see how it plays out.
Well, as we finish up with Ben Ross, you can see him on Cron 4 Sports. Let me throw a Hayden Birdsong. He's been struggling also in the last 3 starts, only going 4 1/3, 4 and 6. What do you see in him that he's got to overcome? Because the confidence in all of his pitches, he's kind of been pinching a little bit. He is overthrowing a little bit. The curveball isn't sharp as well as it used to be. Tomorrow, I think, is a big start for him.
I completely agree. Yeah, for a young guy who has been struggling, I think it is a huge start. And I think you're right. I think maybe the confidence and the maybe overthrowing a little bit. I still think he's got really good stuff, and it's one of those things where he's just got to go out there and trust his stuff and not try and do too much. And I know that's a cliche too, but you don't have to go out there and strike everybody out. You're just trying to miss barrels. And he was so good out of the bullpen to start the year. He was even really good in his first couple of starts. But since then, this could also just be part of it as a young pitcher. The long season, you go through these ups and downs. Teams get more and more scouting reports on you, and it's just a constant adjustments that pitchers and hitters have to make against one another. So I'm with you. I think tomorrow is a really big start for him because they need him. They need him to be, one of the key guys in the middle, bottom part of the rotation. They need to be able to rely on him every 5 days.
Yeah, I agree so much. We'll be watching him, and we'll definitely be watching Zach Gallen tomorrow to see if the Giants can overcome on something with him. But, Ben, it was a pleasure again talking to you. I appreciate your time tonight.
Always a pleasure, Bill. Thanks for having me.
All right, that was Ben Ross. You can watch him on Cron 4 Sports. Does a great job over there. All right, we're going to wind down and call it a night. Tonight, the Giants lost 4-2. They're 1-3 on a 10-game road trip. They're going to do it again tomorrow in Arizona. First pitch, 6:40. Hayden Birdsong 3-2 against Zach Gallen 5-9. We'll find out what the Giants can do on their offense because today they struggled once again. And we'll turn it over to July 1st. The month of June is over. The June swoon can be closed books, and the Giants finished 13-14 in June. So tomorrow's July 1st. Let's hope for the best, and maybe it'll work and see if the Giants can overcome this loss and get a win tomorrow. I'll be doing this again tomorrow on Sports Phone KNBR after the game, so we'll be able to talk more Giants baseball then. I want to thank up Jacob Valiante. He did a great job in producing the show, and I appreciate all the phone calls on a late night Monday. And thanks for Ben Ross for joining me. For Bill Lasky, have a great night. More coming up right here on KNBR, the Sports Leader.